Okay, so we're gonna go over a for loop. So pretty much this is how a for loop works. So we start by writing for, and inside there will be three sections. This part will be the initial condition. This one will be the loop a continuation condition, and this portion will be the action after every loop. Okay, and then there will be a code here. So this portion, this is the initial loop condition. So let's say we have int I equals 0. So this is what we're going to be working with for this loop. Okay, so this is the initial condition we set up. Now here, this is the pretty much what has to remain true for this loop to continue working. So let's say I has to be less than 100. So as long as this remains true, this loop will continue running. And then here, this one runs after every loop. So this one will be an updated condition. So I is currently 0, but let's say I want I to increment by 1 after every loop. So this is what this portion does. So let me show you. So let's do a test run. So int I is 0. So I is currently 0. All right. This I 0 is less than 100. That's good. Now let's execute this code. Now we are done executing. Let's go to this portion. All right. We have to increment it by 1. Let's increment it by 1. We now totally ignore this portion. Now we just focus on these two from now on. I is less than 100. That's good. We execute this code. Now we go back to here. Increment it by 1. Now we're at 2. All right. And let's show it through a flow chart. Okay. So let's start. This is the initial condition. And then what we're going to do now is check if I is less than 100. If this is true, then we're going to execute the code that's inside the for loop. And then after that, we're going to increment it by 1 after we're done executing the code. And then we go all the way, we go all the way back here. Now we check if this is still true. If it's false, then obviously we exit the loop. All right. Now let's do a really easy example to better understand for loops. Let's collect user input to find all even numbers from 0 to 100. So let me set up our scanner. All right, and we'll say enter the number range from 0. Okay, and then we'll do int range equals scanner dot next int. All right, and now we'll do our for loop. So right now, let's set our initial condition, and I equals to 0. I has to be less than our range divided by 50. So sorry, not divided by 50, divided by 2. Okay. The reason that we're dividing by 2 is if we have a range from 0 to 100, how many even numbers will be in that range? Well, there will be 50, right? So that's what we're gonna do. And then we'll print out the even numbers in here. So I times 2. Okay. Now this is where we're gonna see. So this is where the divided by 2 comes in, because if we let's say we put 100 in here, so range is 100, and we did not include this, then this is going to give us all even numbers from 0 to 200. Because what if we have 50? When I is 50, what's 50 times 2? Well, that's 100. Now, what if we had, then it's going to go to 51. 51 is still below range. Range is 100. So then it'll be 51 times 2, and that gives you 102. But that's above 100, and we don't want it to exceed what we think is our range. So we'll instead divide it by 2. Okay, now let's run this code. Enter number range. So let's say I want my number range to be 100. There you go. We got all numbers from 0 to 100. Now let me do 200. Actually, how about 201? Well, yeah, we got pretty much this instead. Okay, now let's do a quick example. So it says, suppose input is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 0. Okay, so what is the following output in this code? All right, so we set up these variables: number, sum equals 0, and count. So for count, so count is right now 0. All right, so now so count is 0 here. We check if count is less than 5, so 0 is less than 5, so that's true. We'll focus on this after our first loop. So our first input was 2, so right now number is 2. So now it will be sum plus equals 2. Sum is 0. So now after this, sum is now 2. Now count increments by 1. So count is now 1. So 1 is less than 5. Now we put in a new number. We put in 3. Now 3 gets added to 2. So this is now 5. Now we increment this by 1. Now we're at 2. Now we put in 4 for number. So we put 4 here. This is now 9. All right. Now we increase again. For number, we put in 5. 9 plus 5, that's 14. And that's what sum will be now equal to. Now for the fourth loop, for the fourth loop, it's now 0. So number is now 0. Obviously, sum will remain the same. Now for the fifth loop, 5 is not less than 5. 5 is equal to 5. So now we're stuck when executing it. Now we're going to get our display. So sum will be 15, and count, what will count be? Count will be 5. Okay? And yeah, so that'll be your final outputs for this.